"Come out and face me if you are no woman," the dragon answered. "I am coming, Prince's son, I am coming." The Prince and the Dragon. Once there was a Tsar who had 3 sons. One day the eldest son went out to hunt, and as he passed beyond the city gates, a hare leapt out from behind a bush. He gave chase, this way and that, until the hare disappeared into an old mill. The prince followed after it, but when he entered, there was no hare, only a dragon, who fell upon him and devoured him. When several days passed and the prince did not return, the household began to wonder. Then the middle son went out to hunt, and the same thing happened. The hare, the mill, the dragon. When several more days passed and neither prince had returned, the whole court fell into dread. Then the 3rd son went out as well, hoping to find his brothers. The hare leapt up, and he gave chase, until the hare disappeared into the mill. But this time, the prince would not follow. He turned away, saying to himself, "When I come back, I will deal with you." After wandering long through the hills and finding nothing, he returned to the mill. Inside sat an old woman. The prince greeted her. "God help you, grandmother." And she returned his greeting. Then he asked where his hare was. She answered, "My boy, that was no hare. That was a dragon. It has destroyed and swallowed so many souls." The prince grew troubled. His 2 brothers had surely perished there as well. Then he said, "Grandmother, I think you yourself would be glad to be rid of this affliction." The old woman admitted she would. Then he said, "When the dragon comes, ask it where its strength lies, and kiss that place, as if from great tenderness, until you have drawn the secret out. Then tell me when I return." When the dragon came that night, the old woman flattered it and drew it out. The dragon laughed at the hearth and laughed at the tree, then finally told the truth. Far away, in another kingdom, near the Tsar's city, there is a lake. In that lake lives a dragon. Inside the dragon is a wild boar. Inside the boar is a hare. Inside the hare is a dove. Inside the dove is a sparrow. And in that sparrow, there is my strength. The next day, the prince came to the old woman, and she told him everything. Then he disguised himself as a shepherd, took his staff, and set out into the world. Going from village to village and city to city, he came at last to another kingdom and to the Tsar's city, beneath which lay the lake where the dragon dwelled. He went to the Tsar and asked to tend his sheep. The Tsar warned him, "There is a lake here, and beside it very fine pasture, and as soon as the sheep are driven out, they make straight for it. But every shepherd who has gone there has never come back. Do not let the sheep go where they will." The prince thanked the Tsar, prepared himself, and drove out the sheep, taking with him 2 greyhounds swift enough to run down a hare in an open field, a falcon that could catch any bird in flight, and a set of bagpipes. When he drove the sheep out, he let them go straight to the lake. He set the falcon on a log, put the greyhounds and the bagpipes beneath it, rolled up his breeches and his sleeves, waded into the water and cried out, "Dragon, dragon, come out and face me if you are no woman." Out it came, vast, terrible, monstrous. They locked arms and wrestled through the long summer day until noon. When the midday sun bore down hard, the dragon said, "Let me go. Let me wet my wretched head in the lake, and I will throw you to the heights of heaven." But the prince answered, "Come now, dragon, do not talk nonsense. If only the Tsar's daughter were here to kiss me on the brow, I would throw you still higher." The dragon immediately released him and went back into the lake. Toward evening, the prince washed himself, set the falcon on his shoulder, took the greyhounds beside him, tucked the bagpipes under his arm, drove the sheep homeward, and entered the city playing the pipes. The whole town gathered as if for a wonder, for no shepherd had ever come back from that lake before. This happened a second day as well. The Tsar sent 2 riders after him in secret to watch from a high hill. They returned and told the Tsar everything they had seen and heard, how the prince wrestled the dragon until midday, and how each time he spoke of the Tsar's daughter, the dragon released him and retreated. The Tsar summoned his daughter and told her everything. "Tomorrow," he said, "you are to go with the shepherd to the lake and kiss him on the brow." She burst into tears. "You have no one in the world but me, and yet you care nothing whether I perish." Then her father took her gently and said, "Do not be afraid, my daughter. He has fought the dragon for 2 days now, and it has not harmed him. I trust in God that he can overcome it. Only go with him, so that he might free us from this affliction." When the white day dawned, the shepherd arose, and the girl arose, and they prepared themselves for the lake. The shepherd was merry, merrier than ever, and the Tsar's daughter was sorrowful, shedding tears. The shepherd comforted her all along the road. "Lady, I beg you, do not weep. Only do what I ask when the time comes. Run to me and kiss me, and do not be afraid." When they came to the lake, the prince set the falcon on the log and the greyhounds beneath it, waded into the water, and cried out his challenge once more. Out came the dragon, vast, terrible, monstrous. They seized each other at the waist and wrestled through the long summer day until noon. When the midday sun bore down, the dragon begged to be released. The prince called out, and the Tsar's daughter ran forward and kissed him on the cheek, the eye, and the brow. Then he swung the dragon and hurled it into the heights of heaven, and when it came crashing down to earth, it shattered into pieces. From its broken body, a wild boar leapt out and bolted away. The prince cried to the guard dogs, "Hold it! Don't let it go!" The dogs sprang after it, caught it, and tore it apart. But from the boar, a hare leapt out and fled across the field. The greyhounds gave chase, caught it, and tore it apart. But from the hare, a dove flew up. The prince loosed the falcon, which caught the dove, and brought it to his hands. He opened the dove, and inside was a sparrow. He held it fast. "Now tell me where my brothers are," he said, "and I will not harm you." The sparrow spoke. "Just beyond your father's city, there is an old mill. Inside grow 3 young saplings. Cut them down and strike the ground at the root. Iron doors will open at once into a great cellar, and in that cellar are so many souls the dragon ever took. Your brothers are there as well." When the sparrow had told him all of this, the prince wrung its neck. The Tsar himself had watched everything from the hilltop with his own eyes. That evening the prince washed himself, set the falcon on his shoulder, tucked the pipes under his arm, and played all the way home. And the girl walked beside him, still trembling. When they entered the city, the whole town gathered in wonder. The Tsar summoned him before him and gave him his daughter. At once, they went to the church, were wed, and celebrated for a full week. Then the prince revealed who he was and where he came from, and the Tsar and the whole city rejoiced still more. When the prince pressed to return home, the Tsar gave him many companions and sent him on his way. When they came to the old mill, the prince stopped all his companions and went inside alone. He cut down the 3 saplings and struck them against the root, and the iron doors swung open at once. Inside the cellar was a multitude of souls, old and young, rich and poor, men and women, enough to fill an entire kingdom. The prince ordered them all to come out one by one and stood at the door himself. And as they filed out came his brothers too. He embraced them and kissed them, When all the people had come out, they gave thanks to him for releasing them and went each to their own home. And he, with his brothers and his young bride, went home to his father. And there he lived and ruled to the end of his days. If you like our stories, please click the like and subscribe button to support our channel. Thanks for your attention.